All right, so let's talk about steeplejacks.
Steeplejacks.
Yeah, yeah. Those folks who are working hundreds of feet in the air building and repairing some of the most iconic structures that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Skyscrapers,
Yeah.
church steeples,
Uh,
radio masts. I mean, talk about an office with a view, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Today, we're going to help you prepare for a steeplejack interview.
Okay.
And I have to say, these sources that you gave me are incredible.
Oh, good.
This isn't just your generic interview advice.
Yeah.
This is really specific to the steeplejack profession.
Right.
We've got some fantastic insights into what employers are actually looking for in a steeplejack.
Yes. And we can even explore how RoleCatcher's AI can help you really stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, it's almost like having like a personalized interview coach in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. It analyzes the job description, and then it helps tailor your answers to make the strongest possible impression.
So are you ready to climb those career heights?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first up, let's dive into some common steeplejack interview questions. And a lot of these are in the source material.
Okay.
So first up, one of the first questions you might get is, what inspired you to pursue this career?
Right.
So what's important to remember here?
Well, honesty and genuine passion are absolutely key. Interviewers can spot those generic responses like, I like working outdoors a mile away.
Right.
So instead of just saying something like that, you really want to try to connect it to a personal experience. Like, did you ever climb trees as a kid? Were you fascinated by the construction of these massive structures, bridges, skyscrapers? Find that hook that really showcases your genuine interest.
That's such a good point. I'm sure there's a lot of folks listening who've had some incredible experiences, that really led them down this path.
Right.
Okay, so next question. Describe a time you had to overcome a challenge at height. Now, this one feels pretty specific to the steeplejack world.
It is, and it's a chance to really show not just your problem-solving skills, but also that you can stay composed under pressure because, remember, safety is paramount in this field.
Right.
So you really want to choose an experience that shows both your ability to think critically in a challenging situation, but also your unwavering commitment to safe practices.
So let's say, hypothetically, a candidate had to repair a weather vane that was damaged
Oh, hi.
during a really, really windy day.
Oh, wow.
How could they use that experience to really impress the interviewer?
Well, they could focus on, the steps that they took to thoroughly assess the situation, first securing their own equipment, and then how they had to adapt their techniques to ensure safety while still completing the repair.
Oh, that's good.
The key is to highlight that ability to remain calm under pressure, make those sound decisions, and always prioritize safety, even when facing those difficult circumstances.
Yeah, that's a story that's going to resonate with the interviewer.
Right.
And this is where I think RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful, because it can analyze that job description. It can look for those keywords like safety procedures, problem solving, and it can actually prompt you to incorporate those keywords into your answers.
Exactly. It's all about aligning your experience with the specific requirements of that particular role, and RoleCatcher can help you do just that.
Okay, let's move on to another question that's a little bit broader. How do you stay up to date with the latest industry trends and technologies in steeplejacking? Now, this might seem a little daunting at first.
It can, but it doesn't have to be. If you just think about, any professional development courses that you've taken, have you attended any workshops, conferences? Do you subscribe to industry magazines or online forums?
Yeah.
These are all great ways to demonstrate your commitment to continuous learning.
And speaking of staying up to date,
Yeah.
I love this Steeplejack Career Stages section in the module that you provided.
Yes.
It gives some fascinating insights into how this profession actually evolves over time.
Yeah, it's a really valuable resource for understanding, the different career paths that are available and the skills that employers value at each stage. Like, for example, an entry-level steeplejack. They might want to focus on their physical fitness and their eagerness to learn, while a more experienced steeplejack might want to highlight those leadership skills and that specialized knowledge that they've gained over the years.
That's a really good point. Knowing where you fit in and what's expected at each stage can really help you tailor those answers and present yourself as the ideal candidate for that specific role.
Right.
Okay, let's tackle another question. This one's a classic. What are your strengths and weaknesses as a steeplejack? This is one that always makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
Yeah.
But it's also a great opportunity to show self-awareness and honesty.
Okay.
When you're talking about your strength, you really want to choose qualities that are directly relevant to the job. Like attention to detail, physical stamina, problem-solving abilities. And then when you're addressing those weaknesses, you want to be honest, but also frame them in a positive light.
So instead of saying, I'm afraid of heights, which, probably wouldn't go over too well.
Right. Probably not a good idea for a steeplejack.
You could say something
Well,
like,
you could say, I'm always working on improving my knowledge of rigging techniques. It's a complex area, and I really want to be the best that I can be.
I love that.
That shows that you're aware of, areas where you can grow and that you're actively seeking self-improvement.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about teamwork.
Okay.
Steeplejacking might seem like a solitary job, when you see them way up there.
Right.
But in reality, collaboration is absolutely essential.
That was crucial.
So how would you answer the question? Describe a time you had to work effectively as part of a team to achieve a goal.
You want to choose an experience that highlights your communication skills, your ability to contribute to that shared objective and your respect for your colleagues. Did you ever have to coordinate with other steeplejacks, on a complex repair, or maybe work with engineers to adapt a design, based on unforeseen challenges?
Right.
Those are great examples of teamwork in action.
And I imagine that giving really specific examples of, how you communicated, how you delegated tasks, how you maybe even resolved conflicts would really impress the interviewer.
Absolutely. They want to see that you can not only perform, the physical task of the job, but also that you can function as part of a team.
Right, because ultimately a successful project relies on everyone working together.
Absolutely, towards a common goal.
And I think this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can come in really handy.
It can.
It can analyze that job description and look for those keywords related to teamwork communication. Make sure that you're really hitting those key elements in your answers.
Exactly. You want to make sure your responses resonate with the employer's specific needs and demonstrate that you're a good fit for their team.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, and when you come back, we'll dive into even more essential Steeplejack interview questions. So stay tuned.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, so we've talked about teamwork, but what about leadership? It's a quality that's valued at all levels, even for those just starting out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how would you approach the question? Tell me about a time you demonstrated leadership, even if you weren't in a formal leadership role.
Well, I think the key here is to showcase, initiative responsibility, that ability to motivate others.
Sure.
Maybe you took charge of a particularly challenging task, or mentored a less experienced colleague, or maybe you even came up with a creative solution that really benefited the entire team.
Right.
The focus should be on the specific actions that you took and the positive impact that you had.
Okay, so let's say a candidate was working on a project and the team was falling behind schedule.
Yeah.
They noticed a bottleneck in the workflow.
Right.
And they took it upon themselves to kind of reorganize the tasks. And ultimately, that helped the team get back on track.
Yeah.
Would that be a good example of leadership?
Absolutely. It shows problem-solving initiative, a willingness to go above and beyond to achieve that shared goal.
Right.
And those are qualities that employers really look for no matter what the job title is.
Now, let's talk about a question that can be a little bit of a curveball. How do you handle working at extreme heights?
Yeah.
This goes beyond just saying, oh, I'm not afraid of heights.
Right.
So what are they really looking for with this question?
I think it's about you demonstrating that you understand the mental and physical demands of working in such a unique environment.
Yeah.
You could talk about your strategies for staying focused, managing, any anxieties, maintaining that situational awareness.
Yep.
Maybe you practice mindfulness techniques, or you do some visualization exercises, or you even have like a pre-climb routine that helps you mentally prepare for the task ahead.
Those are really good examples, and I think that shows the interviewer that you're not just physically capable, but also mentally prepared for the challenges of the job. Okay, switching gears again. Let's talk about safety.
Okay.
We know it's paramount in this line of work.
Of course.
How can a candidate really drive that point home during the interview? Let's say the question is, what's your approach to ensuring safety on a steeplejacking project?
I think this is where your in-depth knowledge of industry standards and best practices comes in.
Okay.
You could talk about, your unwavering commitment to those pre-climb inspections, your meticulous approach to equipment maintenance, your ability to spot potential hazards and then implement, those preventative measures before anything happens.
Right.
And don't forget to mention any relevant certifications like IRATA or SPRAT.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those. Can you explain what they are and why they're so important?
Sure. So IRATA stands for the Industrial Rope Access Trade Association, and SPRAT stands for the Society of Professional Rope Access Technicians.
Wow.
So these organizations, they set really rigorous standards for rope access work, which, as you know, is a core skill in steeplejacking. And having those certifications shows a high level of competence in, rope techniques, safety protocols, rescue procedures.
So when a candidate mentions those certifications during the interview, they're not just name dropping.
Right.
They're signaling to the employer that they've met these really stringent industry standards.
Exactly. It's a tangible way to showcase that commitment to safety and that professional expertise, and it's something that employers really do value.
Now, I want to touch on something that we haven't really talked about yet, and that's problem solving.
Okay.
Steeplejacking is all about, thinking on your feet, finding creative solutions to those unexpected challenges.
It is.
So how can a candidate really showcase their problem-solving skills during the interview? Let's say the question is, describe a time you had to think outside the box to solve a problem on a steeplejacking project.
This is their chance to shine, to showcase their ingenuity, their adaptability. I would say choose an experience that demonstrates your ability to quickly assess a situation, identify potential solutions, and then implement that best course of action.
Okay.
Maybe you had to devise a new way to lift heavy equipment to a tricky location, or work around, an unexpected structural issue, or even repair a damaged component using, very limited resources.
Okay, so let's say a candidate was tasked with repairing a lightning rod on a church steeple.
Okay.
But the usual access route was blocked because there was scaffolding.
Oh, wow.
So they ended up rigging a temporary rope access system to get to the lightning rod.
Oh, wow.
Safely and efficiently. Would that be a good example?
That's a fantastic example. It shows resourcefulness, technical expertise, and that commitment to finding solutions that prioritize both safety and efficiency.
Now, I know we've been focusing a lot on these specific questions.
Right.
But I want to circle back to the Steeplejack career stages module for a second.
Okay.
It really provides some great insights into the different stages of a Steeplejack's career.
It does. It outlines the typical responsibilities and the skills that are valued at each stage, from apprentice to journeyman to master steeplejack.
That's really cool.
And understanding these different stages can help you position yourself strategically during the interview.
Okay.
For example, if you're just starting out, you might emphasize your willingness to learn your physical fitness.
Right.
But if you're a seasoned professional, with years of experience, you might highlight that leadership experience and that specialized knowledge that you've acquired.
That's a great point. It's all about framing your experience in a way that really resonates with the employer's expectations for that specific role.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to a question that can sometimes throw people off. What are your salary expectations?
Oh, yeah, that one can be a little awkward.
Yeah, so what's the best way to handle that?
Well, before you go into the interview, I would definitely recommend doing some research.
Yeah.
Look at websites like glassdoorsalary.com to see what the typical salary range is for steeplejacks in your area. And then during the interview, be honest about your expectations, but also be flexible,
So instead of giving a specific number.
Yeah, you could say something like, I'm looking for a salary that's competitive with the market rate for someone with my experience and qualifications.
Well, that's good.
That shows you've done your homework and that you're open to negotiation.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about how RoleCatcher's AI can help tailor your answers to specific job descriptions.
Right.
But can you elaborate a bit more on how it actually works?
Sure. So RoleCatcher uses these advanced algorithms to analyze the job description and then identify, the key skills and experience that particular employer is looking for.
Wow.
And then it compares those requirements to your profile and provides personalized feedback, on how to highlight your strengths, maybe address any potential gaps.
So it's like having a virtual career coach that knows exactly what the employer wants.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out of interview preparation and gives you that confidence to really shine.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about, some tough interview questions, those all-important safety certifications, salary expectations.
Right.
But there are a few more essential tips and strategies that we'll cover in the next segment, so stay tuned. Welcome back. We're talking about how to ace that Steeplejack interview, and we've talked about answering their questions. But what about the questions you ask?
Oh, that's a great point. It's not just a one-way street, you know?
Right.
It's a chance for you to gather information and show that you're really interested in the company and the role.
So instead of that awkward silence,
Yeah.
when they say, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
What are some good ones that, a potential steeplejack could ask?
Well, one thing you could do is ask about specific projects, that the company has worked on. It shows that you've done your research.
Oh, that's good.
You could say something like, I read about your work on, and then mention a specific project. What were some of the unique challenges of that project? Or, to understand the company culture, you could ask, what opportunities are there for professional development and advancement within the company?
That's good. It shows you're thinking long term.
Exactly.
Not just about getting the job, but growing with the company.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about first impressions.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about what you say. It's how you present yourselves.
Absolutely. Professionalism goes a long way. While you don't need a suit and tie hanging off a skyscraper, clean work clothes, show you take the job seriously.
Right.
A firm handshake, eye contact, all those little things add up.
You want to project confidence, but also that you're reliable.
Right.
That you take pride in your work.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say a candidate has aced the interview. They've answered all the questions thoughtfully. They've asked great questions of their own. Made a great first impression. What happens next?
Well, this is where I think RoleCatcher's AI can really provide that extra edge.
Okay.
Because remember, it doesn't just help you with interview prep, it can analyze your CV as well.
Right.
And suggest tweaks, based on keywords from the job description to make sure your application really stands out from that stack of resumes.
So it's like having a secret weapon.
Exactly.
To get your foot in the door even before you step into the interview room.
Absolutely.
That's great. All right, so any final words of wisdom for all those aspiring steeplejacks out there as they embark on this really unique career path?
Well, I would say embrace the challenge. It's a demanding field, but it's incredibly rewarding. Never stop learning, stay up to date on all those safety practices, and most importantly, nurture that passion for working at heights.
And with the right preparation, a genuine passion, and a little help from RoleCatcher's AI,
yes,
you can conquer those interview heights and launch a successful career as a steeplejack.
That's right. Best of luck to everyone out there.
That's it for our Steeplejack Deep Dive. Hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Remember, the sky's the limit.
It is a